Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hot Takes League of Legends edition. And that's not Davide, to my right hand side. Quest, welcome to the show for the first time. Yeah, how's it doing? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Happy to be on the show for the first time. I'm excited to talk about some of the topics that are floating around right now, making the news, and yeah, lovely to chat with you all.
Likewise. Apologies on Ethan's behalf that he has to wear such horrible clothes. It's not really
We
appropriate.
said we said we wouldn't talk about football anymore. So
Then
what are
what
you
the
doing
bloody hell
right
are you
now?
wearing? You, you're baiting me into it, then,
Yeah.
aren't you? Goodness sake.
Yeah.
Quest, are you a
Well, I
football
wanted
or
to
soccer fan?
I wanted to have a compensation for the bad behavior with all these Tottenham shirts and stuff. So yeah, I had to put an Arsenal one for this one.
Do you have any football or soccer affiliation, Quest?
Don't say soccer,
Um.
please.
Yeah. I try not to say soccer either. Because it's like I lived in Canada, but like, bro, it's I don't know. I think
That
football's
naturally
the
isn't in my
right word.
vocab. So just saying.
Yeah. Exactly. um. I don't have a favorite team. I mean, I have a couple players, because I'm a Korean player, so obviously, Sunny's a big one. And then there are some legends like Jisung Park and some of the current players I follow. But in terms of the league, not too much.
Yeah, no, fair
Leah, I
enough.
don't know why you're raising your hands. He's not on the team anymore. So
He's a legend at our
Yeah.
team. It counts. Um, we're 1.5 Tottenham fans today. I'm taking that as
Mm.
versus one Arsenal fan, or half an Arsenal fan because you got two teams. You cheat. Anyway,
yeah, and there's also Kangin Lee, which is in PSG right now. So
Yes, yes. He's very good.
anyway, let's talk about League of Legends then. So we'll start off today with the actual game changes, which might be the first time we've actually talked about the game itself ever on this show, rather than just the esports aspect. But I think there's plenty of stuff that will obviously have a knock-on effect. So there has been the revelation of the changes, the sweeping changes coming for next season. And bloody hell, where do we even start? Because there's a lot. So just to kind of go through some of the highlights of the in-game stuff, Atakan is gone. Baron
Hmm.
at 20 minutes. Minions starting at 30 seconds. That one was like kind of mad, I think. There's the role quests now across all roles and some funky stuff there. WASD is coming. I think that's coming like in the like pretty much right now. That's not necessarily just for next season. But then also in
yeah, but it's not like you can play it in ranked
ranked,
or
right? Yeah.
in drafts. It's just like it's a test phase right now. You know,
Yeah.
it's not
Mm.
officially out, and I don't think it will be out. It will be out next year, like from the start. Maybe I'm wrong, but I will be very surprised if it was out for the professional play in the start of the next season, because I think there's a lot of adjustments and balancing that needs to be made in order to get it right.
Yeah. Well, from even just like the first testing, it looked like for like ADCs, especially, it's going to be absolutely bonkers. But yeah, the other like final couple of highlights. There's like a bunch of item stuff as well, like a bunch of new items and things. And then for ranked, if you are role swapped and you get a C+ score, then
Yeah.
if you win the game, you get double XP, double LP, sorry. And if you lose, you don't lose any LP.
It's
Um,
only if you're autofilled, but yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I mean. Yeah,
Autofilled.
so that's an interesting one. I feel like that surely you could abuse that a little bit. Like if you're auto filled, then just like play mega safe, not to get any deaths or stuff like that.
Or maybe you
But
just tag
I will
autofield
say
then. Maybe
I
you
will
just tag
say
autofield.
this. I will say this, if you're autofill jungle and you main something like, I don't know, you main a certain champion, I feel like you can get C+. Even if
Yeah.
you lose. Like, so
And
that's
honestly, a lot of champions can get more than C plus. Like a lot
Mhm.
of like C plus is not very hard to get, honestly. Like if you're
Yeah,
just
that's not
not
true.
inching or trolling the
yeah,
game, you will get C plus most likely.
Hmm.
and then
So I think
go for it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I think that in terms of the system itself, I think you shouldn't get double LP, but I think the loss prevention is like acceptable in my opinion. Um, just because you're playing a role, but there's like ways to like abuse the system. So
Yeah,
that's why I think the
Yeah.
double LP is
I
kind of
feel like
pushing it.
yeah, maybe it's just like extreme on both ends. Like losing no LP. means that as long as for C plus as well, like as long as you're not inting, then
Hmm.
it kind of doesn't really matter that much. You lose. I guess like the opposite end is the double LP is going to be like a massive draw for you to try and win.
Right.
But I don't know, that seemed like a bit extreme. Could be
Yeah,
like half LP or 1.5 times if you win.
and there's another feature, new feature from the ranked system that I think will help a lot when it comes to pro play. It is the fact that you can now duo with in challenger, and I do think that when it comes to mid jungle synergy, when it comes to bot lane synergy, there's nothing better than duoing in the best in the best ranks, you know.
I mean,
So
it's kind of
uh,
crazy. Like
it's the
if I
best practice they can get, like, you know,
yeah,
passively
like
without screams.
if I
Hmm.
put myself in the shoes of a professional ADC, a professional support, and I can't practice the game like outside of scrims, I can't practice the game with my duo partner that I literally it's my job to play well with them. Obviously, you could if you're like lower ranked or smurfing or something, but the fact that you couldn't is a bit mental. So I
Yeah.
think for like pro players,
So-
especially, that's massive.
Do you guys know a Master E challenger player named Scenarios?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
So he tweeted out that he's just with the about the duo queue in Challenger, the saying that he's just gonna duo with a Tark main and just go Mastery Tarek in Challenger lobbies.
Okay, that's racist. That's racist right now.
But I also saw him tweet about how like he's going to play against like LEC bot lanes with streamer mode on, and he was also kind of like scared about stuff like that. But it's interesting because everywhere but Korean server, to my knowledge, they can duo in like high challenger. I think that in the
What do you
Korean
mean?
server you're not allowed. Like
No,
the
you can't right now in any servers. Joe in Challenger. It's a new feature that they will add.
no, yeah, that's what I mean. But
Oh,
like
okay.
that new feature will roll out everywhere but the Korean server. I think that's
Oh,
what I
okay.
saw.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's
Well,
so
that's interesting.
competitive there. And there's also like there's not a lot of people talk about this, but there's also like illegal betting for solo queue games, and not just
Everywhere.
famous players like Faker, but like even just streamers, man. Like they are victims to illegal bets, and there's like a whole like black market like system that comes with it. So I think that's one of the reasons why they decided to not roll out this feature in the sets
Okay.
or in the new season. It's coming up in the Korean server.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, and I think it can give. Honestly, I really mean what I said, but it can give an edge to the other regions. Then, honestly, like for the internationals and stuff, because I do think that it's very, very insane the amount of practice and experience you can get with your duo in solo queue. Like, given the fact that there's only like in Europe at least, there's only like 2 screen blocks per day. If you combine that to the fact that you can duo all the rest of the day with your support or your jungle if you're mid or whatever, it's just insane experience like that you can get, and I do think that it can help a lot to build the synergy, to build automatisms. So yeah.
But if I was like a
Um,
betting
mhm.
syndicate in like the Korean ladder, and I was like getting players to throw matches, the amount of money that's probably involved, I just book them a flight to the cheapest country in Europe and just get them to do it there instead. The difference. But yeah, difficult that because obviously from Riot's perspective, there's like not much they can do either. Like it was a massive thing for Valorant as well. Like there was one player, Shazam, like used to be a player for Sentinels back in the day, and he had like tweeted a screenshot from his phone where he got a text message from like a random number saying like, "I know where you live. In this like lose this next match, or I'm coming to your house or something, or I'll expose your address and stuff." It's like crazy there. Anyway, I mean, there's so many of these changes as well that we can talk.
I think there's another changes that will impact a lot the pro play, and it's the fact that they want to enhance split pushing,
Home
and I
guards and
do
stuff,
think
right?
that and I do think that it was clearly something that was missing this year when it came to competitive play. I feel like the game was very one-dimensional this year with all the objectives. All the teams were pretty much playing for team fights, right? And the fact that now we will get another huge strategic aspect of the game, which is split pushing, that comes into the picture, I do think that it will help a lot the game to diversify, and especially in pro play to just like have different strategies. If you have a very good like top laner, for example, maybe you will try to enable him the most possible in the side, and you will not, for example, you will trade an objective for a split push or for. And there's also that sieging phase. They say that they want to put more emphasis in the siege, in sieging. So I do think that it's very, very interesting and it can help a lot all the strategical aspect of the game, honestly.
And there was, just to like clarify, there was a bunch of things I think that would help with side laning. Like towards like later in the game, the minions are way more frequent. Is I'm right
You have
saying the
Jump Guard also. You have Jump Guard also
yeah. So
to
the
go
home
back
guard goes
faster.
out until like your furthest minions in the lane, basically. So you can basically home guard down the whole lane. The turret plating, is it like, didn't they? Does it not time out now or something? And then there's more
No,
turrets that have
It's
plating as
it's
well?
on everywhere.
It's
It's
on
even on
every
tier 2
turret.
turrets. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on every turret.
Yeah, so there's like a bunch of stuff, and even like the what do you call them? The role quests. That's one of the things I got some screens on. But for top lane, like the benefit of the role quest was that you would get teleport as a third summoner if you didn't already have it. And I think if you had teleport already, there was like some other benefit. I don't remember off the top of my head. I've just seen it.
You have a shield. You have a shield when you spawn after the teleport.
I didn't read this article from Davide earlier. I can't believe he's written this in the article. What is it? For top laners, this is probably the wet dream becoming true.
Honestly, he's right. I think they're the one getting the biggest buff.
I don't dispute
Like
it.
the
But
fact-
it's just funny that he wrote wet dream in an article on hotspawn.com. But anyway,
But because on their dev update, Riot said that they wanted to kind of buff the most both top lane and ADC, which I think they are right thinking that these are the two weakest roles right now in the game, right? But and especially when it comes to competitive, in my opinion. But the thing is, I think with top laner they did a good job. Honestly, they just made them stronger in what was already their strengths, right? Which is split push, which is being good in the 1v1. So that's interesting. But honestly, I do feel like when it comes to ADC, there's also a lot of AD being very hyped about the changes and stuff. But honestly, I don't think they hit the right target with the buff on the ADC. So this is why I feel like ADCs were already very good in late game, right? They were already a very good source of damage output and carry potential in late game. And the fact that now they just added more, what they added is a 7th item slot, right? And I do feel like
that's only going to actually have an effect in like such a small percentage of games where you need spell boots to get an item.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's not a lot of games that goes to 40, 45 minutes where you can actually build that 7th item, right? So yes, you have extra gold, which feels nice, honestly. But from what I saw, it's like 2 golds per minion. Yes, maybe it's a lot when you take in consideration the fact that they will farm a lot of waves and that the ADCs are, in general, the champions that the role that is farming the most, right? But I do feel like they should buff their early game and mid game, and now they just buffed their late game, which is already what was the biggest strength of the ADCs, right? Because you just don't have that much agency anyway in early mid game, and you just are completely enabled in late game right now. So it's just that they put more power into that, but I'm not sure if it's the correct way to buff ADCs right now and to kind of fill their weaknesses,
Right, looking at the other ones. So on the role quest, while we're on those, I'm not sure the others sounded like that crazy. So jungle, more golden XP from monsters, bonus movement speed. Mid lane,
nothing crazy.
yeah. Mid lane, you get 3 tier 3 boots.
That can be very good, especially in competitive, by the way.
And enhanced recall.
Yeah. The
So
faster
I
recall
think,
is
yeah.
very interesting for tempo.
I think that mid lane, it's interesting because like I think at least in solo queue, it just means that champions like Talon, Katarina, or champions that like to roam around will definitely benefit this. But in terms of the amount or the reward that you get from the quest compared to like top lane and
Yeah.
bot lane, yeah, it's very minuscule compared to the mid lane buff, I feel. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
But I do think that while this is minuscule, like I think there's a reason, and I think Riot explained that a bit in their dev update. It's that mid lane is not a weak role right now, or at least maybe it is a bit in solo queue, but like in competitive, for example, it's not at all a weak role. And I do think that even in solo queue, honestly, it's not that much of a weak role right now. Like I do think that mostly it's AG and top lane, so they did the right thing to me to buff the most those two roles. And just to come back on the AG part, I do feel like it will really depend on the amount of gold you get from minions and champion takedowns, on whether or not this is a good buff for ADCs. But right now, the fact that you have a 7th item seems kind of odd to me. But yeah, for the mid lane, I do think that still, even though it's not that much of a big deal, well, the buff they added, I do feel like it's still very, like, it can add a lot of, you can build a lot of strategies around that, and especially in the tempo, for example, when it comes to pro play, it's such an important factor of the game. And now mid laner will be the kind of the deciders of the tempo of the game if they can recall that fast and stuff. So yeah, I think they will have a huge edge in when it comes to competitive play with that buff, much more than what you could think, watching the buff right now.
Right. No, I agree. I think that like they'll still have I mean, if anything, they'll have more of an impact, especially
Yep.
through mid, especially too early to mid game. Or depending on how fast you complete the quest. But I think they will, depending on the champion, obviously, and it's not every scenario that I say this, but in a lot of scenarios, we will, I think, see top laners and like their power spikes kind of falling off towards the late game.
Yeah, but since it's mostly, it's like, at least it's used to be that way. It's mostly mages that play mid lane. You already have a good scaling in a way. So, and also the fact that right now, as we said, the split push has been buffed. I do think that mid lane can take a lot from that enhanced recall, because of the fact that they can just go back with the home guard, with the faster recall and stuff. They will just have a lot to get from silent plays as well. So yeah, all those dynamics of mid lane against top lane and stuff in the side lane will be very interesting to follow. How the meta will shape up also, according to those role quests, because I do think that they will play a huge part on the meta. As you said, I think maybe we could see again some Talon, some Kiana, maybe some Queen even in the mid lane with all those buffs. So
True.
yeah, I'm very interesting to see how it will shape up the meta actually.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a Katarina player, so I'm happy with these buffs, especially with one of the items that's coming in, Gunblade, making its return.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for the new season. No matter what anyone says negatively about these changes, because I think historically Riot's done a good job of keeping the game fresh with with changes like this every season.
I do like them, like these last
and
couple of years where they're like making big swings like this and actually changing a lot. Like it does, like obviously anyway, like when they're making tweaks all the time, it freshens things. But I like I like them having the balls to like just do actually massive changes each year now.
Yeah.
Even though I barely play the game because I don't have time to play it. But there we go. It makes me want to play it actually, to be fair. So they're doing a good job. This is like a mega deep cut. I doubt you guys would have heard of this guy, but if I'm keeping an eye out this year for an ERL player, Kerberos, that I only wouldn't even know about him from like when I used to be involved in like the UK scene. but he's like
I'm
a
friends with Kerberos.
really. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I became friends with him when he was back in Korea. And like we hung out, and we became pretty close friends. I haven't talked to him in a hot minute, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that
Yeah. When
he's a very good player.
yeah, so he's like usually like around like a challenger player basically, and he's like an ERL journeyman. Like he's played like every ERL, a bunch of EU Masters, and he was like notorious for playing solo lane or like split push champs. Like
Mhm.
he was like a menace on Yorick. But it was so funny in the UK leagues or like NLC when they would give him one of these champions, it would just like completely shift the whole game for like both teams, and it was just like a proper like a wild card.
Well, do you know who got a buff from that in GLC? It's Leader right now. Leader could actually really benefit from those buffs from Riot, honestly. And especially from the split push being enhanced and stuff. Like, yeah, I do think that the fact that Leader was coming in as probably
Mickey knew.
the least anticipated player in in the league, right? Now, I'm kind of hyped to see him place those Irelia, those Zed and stuff with the new meta. I think that it can be very interesting, and it suits him very well.
Yeah. What do you think about no Atakan and early Baron? I guess getting rid of Atakan like kind of just helps to not, like you were saying, Ethan, not every team has to like fight these certain objectives every time. I guess just having Baron earlier means that there is something to fight for, I suppose. Otherwise, it would be maybe like a bit too little to do.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think they also removed grubs, the second grubs, or I heard something about some of the grubs being removed. Is that
I'm not
true?
sure. You might be right.
I'm
I'm
not
not sure.
sure. Yeah.
Hmm. I think I saw it on the video, but anyways, I think Otacon it gave too much XP, and it just meant that those in the lead will just solidify the game, and it's just and one of the things that, according to Riot, people complain about is that this current season is too objective heavy. So they're kind of trying to appease the crowd in that way, I feel. And I think it's good, just because the gold and the XP is just being distributed more evenly, I feel. So I think it's a positive change. I don't know about Ethan.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a positive change as well because of the fact that not only there was too many objectives on the map, but also Atakan was very misunderstood. I feel like in the pro, like by everyone, honestly. Like I
Mhm.
do feel like even in the Worlds Grand Final, Atakan was like a turning point for both teams. Like whenever they
Right.
fought there, it was like game winning or game losing. And yeah, I do feel like even the setups in the Worlds Final after a full year of having Atakan on the Rift, like they were not that good at it. So I just feel like it was very hard for team to adapt to that new change. And also the fact, as we said, that the objectives were really too much in that season. So yeah, and actually the fact that the Baron is coming back to 20 minutes is also a good sign for the game because I feel like it will kind of like the game will go faster, right? Because of that, most likely. So yeah, I feel like it was needed because, and it's on the it's I feel like Riot is leaning on that trajectory of um having new players coming in, being more of a casual games, of a casual game with that change also because of the fact that when you play a league game, you're just engaging yourself for like 40 minutes. And the fact that now the Baron, for example, is coming back at 20, that there's less objectives and stuff, that the game is much less volatile in a way. It feels like, you will engage yourself for more 30 minutes than 40.
Mm.
Um, and I feel like it's a good sign for new players to come and stuff. And also the split push as well. I feel like it's the same kind of mechanism. Like the 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 main objective of a game is destroying turrets and ending the game, right? Destroying the nexus and ending the game eventually. So the fact that now newcomers can just play top lane and just play a side laner and stay on their lane for the whole game and just like push, it will just bring more new players and facilitate their
Like a bit less punishing for new players, isn't it?
yeah, and it will facilitate their comprehension of the game, like how they will understand the game, their understanding of the game. So yeah, I feel like as they're leaning toward a trajectory that they want to bring in new player and make the game more casual, they're also making stuff that will impact in a positive way the pro play. So that's also why I'm very happy about these changes. They didn't let a side of the game away for helping newcomers coming to the game and stuff. So for the sake of that, so yeah, they did a good job managing, like balancing everything so it can go in the positive way for any player.
And it's funny because like the thing of trying to make the games quicker, I feel like they'd started that like a few years ago, maybe just when I can't remember what the changes would have been, but I'm sure that was like the talking point a while ago that they were trying to quicken games a bit. And then when
Grabs is a reason. Grabs is a factor, I think, to
Yeah.
make the game go quicker as well.
I will also say this. They also changed the minion spawn timer.
Yeah.
Like, I think they went from like what, minute 30 to like a minute.
So
So it'll be
it's
very
30
interesting
seconds
to
now,
see.
so it's really quick.
Yeah.
Because that was what I was going to say. Like, since they've been wanting to quicken the game for a while, like now that I saw the thing about the minions and the jungle starting at 30 seconds, it just made me like click. Like, why did they not do that before? Because obviously sometimes you'll sneak a kill or two before anything spawns, but like for probably 90% of the matches, everyone's just sitting in their lane waiting for a minute. It's only for
Honestly,
like.
I'm usually smoking when the game starts.
I was gonna say it's only usually for the idiots at AFK at the beginning. Hey, ruining the first 2
you go
minutes
to
for
the
everybody.
toilets and stuff.
But at
Yeah,
least I
yeah.
guess, well,
But
I will say
maybe
this.
as well. If there's not a minute of nothing, maybe those idiots taking cigarette breaks, are gonna just not
We'll
gonna
smoke
even
less,
think. Yeah, not gonna think there's
Yeah.
time, so you're just not gonna take the risk, are you?
See, it's funny how you mentioned smoking because in the Korean like PC bound culture where people like grind league and stuff, they take the time, like they pick their champion, and a lot of them just rush to the smoking room to get that one cigarette in before
That's
like the
always
loading
what I do,
screen and the
honestly.
minions spawn. Yeah, so you'll be it'll. And what I wanted to say is that it'll be more interesting to watch LPL this season, because they love level 1 invades, and even a couple years ago, I think that the LCK tried to like learn a lot from like the early invades that LPL would do, and so now with the shortened time, like with even less time for level 1 invades, I really am curious to see how teams will
Yeah.
play out this this season. And
Yeah, it will be much more like surprising for a team if they get invaded by a team at 30.
Mhm.
But also there's another reason why I think they want to like speed the game up, is the fact that in the mid to late game the waves will land faster, you know.
Right.
And I think that's another reason, right? If you have more minions pushing, then you will just push the towers more like faster. It's that
Yeah,
simple.
get more gold more
So
quickly and everything. Speeds up the whole
yeah,
lot.
exactly.
Sorry, I'm a bit cold.
So
I'm gonna grab a sweater.
no problem.
I can still hear you.
So yeah, I do feel like yeah, there's a lot like pushing like behind the lines, about like speeding the game up, and uh and yeah, I'm kind of hyped to see how it will go, because I also do think that while speeding the game up is a good thing in general for the game and for newcomers and stuff, I also do think that when it came to late game in competitive, like we love those moments, where the whole game is flipped on an elder, or when the last team fight blows out and you know that this team fight is the decisive one. Um, so I'm interesting to I'm interested to see like how it will play out. Like, will those timings will just be earlier, or will those timing like never happen like they did before?
See, who else do we think? Who are like in pro play? Who are the winners and losers off of any of these changes, or anything that springs to mind?
Hmm. Interesting.
I think LPL wins a lot on that. Also because of the fact that they have, in general, very good 1v1 players, you know? So the fact that now there's more split push and stuff, I think they can win a lot out of it. And I think LCK loses a lot actually, because LCK is mostly like the best team in LCK rely a lot on team synergy, you know? And the fact that now you will have less of objective to fight for, the fact that team fight is kind of nerfed, I do feel like LCK can lose a bit on that.
I think I disagree.
Okay.
Because the caliber of like the solo laners, they're like unmatched compared to the rest of the world. And I think that especially with top laners like Keen, he or like Zeus, he will like especially if they're fighting a team or like a top laner from another region, I think like the skill gap will will showcase itself a lot more and more and that they will be able to like punish those leads. And so I think split pushing will become easier for them. And traditionally, even when it was like the top lane meta back in the day, with top laners like Marin, you know, who literally just refuses, or not refuses, but let me find a good way to say this, who wants a lot of resources like funded into his team, right? So now the fact that top laners can do that without, especially if they're playing weak side, um, and that they don't have to have like junglers babysit them 24/7 because of like the benefits you can get from staying in side lanes. I think that it will definitely benefit LCK in this
I understand
sense.
what you mean, but what I meant was more that, for example, Keen and Zeus are very good at finding their role in team fights, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that when it comes to LPL, they're much more like, there's one player that will clutch it out, that will find the play. It's much more on that than all five players being on the same page and knowing what are their role in the team fight, So the fact that, I feel like LPL, even though I agree that Keen and Zeus are the best top laners in the world, for example, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like LPL in general, when you take the whole package of GLPL and the Chinese playstyle, they're much more keen to play the
Mm-hmm.
1v1 than play the team fights, and that's why I think that it's kind of a buff for them. But honestly, I know that LCK will probably manage the transition better, that they will most likely understand the new meta better and faster. So I still think LCK is the best region and will be the best region, right? I just think that when you take the bigger picture, it can be a buff for GLPL for that specific reason of you will play more 1v1s than team fights,
Mm-hmm.
Remember as well when like when we first had a couple of years where LPL teams had started winning worlds, and like part of the bridging of the gap was attributed to like less vision. I think it was like the jungle item changes, like way back in the day when the junglers used to get like free wards, and then that was taken off, and then the Korean teams couldn't be so methodical, like had to be a bit more risky in some plays and whatnot. Some of the changes now is like I think was more vision stuff. So like the trinkets respawn quicker. There's like things on the map to give you better vision. The support
Yep.
quest gives you more like cheaper control wards, and you get a slot for control ward. So
Yep.
we'll see how much of a change that happens. But and obviously it's like half the players that would have been, well, more than half of the players that would have benefited from the Korean style back in the day probably aren't playing anymore. So there's maybe not the same kind of carry over, but maybe maybe that helps the LCK teams as well. See. Let's transition that then, speaking of the LCK, and talk a bit about the KeSPA Cup, which starts, I think, in a few days, right? On the 6th, if I'm not wrong.
No, 11th, I think.
11th. I don't know where I
I
saw
think
6th.
it's on the
11th,
6th.
I think.
No, it's on the 6th. It's on the 6th.
So I had it in my
Genji
head.
against
I had 11th in my
C9.
head, and then I searched it and saw the 6th. So I feel like there's different things have been, or it might be different stages.
I think it's C9 playing the first day, I think.
Yeah. So there's
Oh right, okay, yeah, it is the 6th. Okay.
there's a few bits to go on then. And one thing I wanted to talk about kind of first of all on it as well, not even about the tournament so much itself, but the news that it will be streamed on Disney Plus, and I think it's exclusive to Disney Plus, if I'm not wrong as well. Which I don't
Yeah,
mind because I've got Disney
it is.
Plus, so fine for me.
Yeah, same.
Perfect.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's a very unique thing, especially for League. Like, I don't remember the last time there was any kind of exclusive streaming deal, or even if there ever was for League. Maybe like about like OGN things back in the day or something. But at least for like the Riot-led stuff, I don't remember there ever being any kind of exclusivity. And realistically, for especially for teams, presuming that the teams could get some cut of this, or it goes to the prize pool or something. But it's like one of the biggest possible moneymakers that doesn't get taken up at all because of the nature of esports and how especially with League, how publishers and Riot are the ones running things, and it's in their best interest to have more people watching because then those people will buy skins. So you've got this like kind of counterbalance where you're thinking in football to bring it back, but this is a time where football makes sense to talk about. We're not shoehorning it in, where like in football, the teams make most of their money from broadcast deals. Like in the Premier League, the Premier League gets billions and billions a year in broadcast money, and then that gets split with the teams, and that's where the teams make most of their money. In League of Legends, Riot has never. I don't know if they've ever tried, or there certainly has never happened, because as I say, like they want more people watching, even if it's for free, because
Yeah,
the way they
it's a
make their money is
promotional.
exactly, it's a promotional tool. Those people see fake, well, they don't see fake user skin because you don't use him. They'll see Chovy user skin, and they'll say, "Oh, that looks sick. I want to buy the same skin," and they go and buy it, and that's how they make most of their money on it. Whereas
Yep.
from the team's perspective, they get fuck all of that money. So the teams would obviously want these kind of broadcast deals to have some more income and another revenue stream. But as I say, it's
Yeah.
at odds with Riot. There's no reason Riot would want it to happen. The only thing for like a team's perspective, I guess there's maybe less viewership, so maybe that affects sponsorship slightly. But it's something that should outweigh it really. So it's really interesting that this happened. It kind of came out of
think
nowhere,
that
and with Disney Plus as well, it's like quite a unique one, quite a unique platform for it to be on.
Yeah, and I think it's a test, honestly, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if in the far future we see more and more of that. I feel like even in the world in general, in the media world in general, those platforms are more and more trying to invest on having
Live stuff.
live stuff and exclusive live stuff as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if esports would be a part of that new trajectory that the live broadcast is having in the far future, obviously, because I think it's way too early for that to hit, the biggest leagues and the biggest tournaments. But yet, I think it's interesting that they're trying just to see how it goes, because I honestly don't think, like, do you know, Quest, maybe if in Korea as well, it will only be available on Disney Plus?
I think so. It should be an exclusive deal, to my knowledge.
Okay. But yeah, it's interesting maybe to see the outcome of it, Will there be new, like, I don't know, new subscribers to the Disney Plus formula, or I don't know, like how much visibility will you have with this new format, And I think I'm very interested to see the amount of viewers in live on Disney Plus from this competition, especially because it's not that much of an important competition, right? So
I imagine like
just
a couple of things they could probably check is like, well, obviously they'll be able to see how many people watch it, but maybe like how many people start a free trial and then watch it. Because the only downside I can see is like this is for now a one-off thing, so you're not going to really buy Disney Plus just to watch this. Like you would maybe do a trial and cancel it. There's nothing if you're only doing it for esports. There's obviously nothing else to watch after. So it's interesting. I would like to be a fly on the wall in like the Riot meetings where they're deciding if this is if it works well or not, purely to see like what they're basing their outcome on. Like what do they see as a success for this? Because with it being a one-off, like it's hard to imagine it has like a huge impact either way.
Yeah, but it could have a huge impact if they want, because it's a huge question, right? Will League of Legends be forever, Will League of Legends last forever? Will LoL esports last forever? as well. So I think if it lasts forever, obviously the system of Twitch is not the most the best way to do it, to make people watch esports, because you won't get any financial or economic outcome out of it. While if you try to go that path where you go to broadcasts such as Netflix or Disney Plus or all those platforms, those new platforms, maybe you can find a way to have a stronger economic model out of your content and the content that you want to create with the esports, right?
So
So yeah,
I think that this is very experimental. We've never seen anything like this in esports, where it's there like a tournament is dedicated to be streamed on a streaming service platform, right? But we've seen this in traditional sports, from all those boxing events to like the recently signed deal with WWE and Netflix. And so I think there is that transition there in traditional sports. Now, will it transition to esports? I don't know, because obviously, like the broadcast model is different, and in terms of broadcasting rights, we've never really seen a deal like this. But with the amount, and Disney Plus is, I would say, like it's pretty big in South Korea as well, and I think it's this deal is accessible to the global market, but at the same time, because it is a Korean tournament, it's more dedicated, like, and it's focused towards like the Korean market. Um, and anyone who says otherwise is just, I think, is just wrong. Because yes, there's like international attraction to this event and like what they're doing on Disney Plus. But again, it's a Korean event. Yeah, depending on how this event does, I think it will. We can potentially see new deals happening. What if
yep.
we see Worlds being streamed exclusively on Disney Plus or on Netflix?
Yep.
Then that would be okay. We had this thing for free, or essentially free, but now we have to like pay to watch your event. So we might, it'll be very
It's funny. It's just
interesting
funny
to see how.
the situation is in esports where that does sound crazy, but like you think about it
While in
about
sports, it's
literally
just normal.
anything else, that seems totally
Yeah.
fair. Like you want to watch this massive product that we've created, you want to watch it, pay us some money then, okay. But for like esports, it sounds like you watch a bloody Worlds final. It's such a huge event, and it seems weird to the thought of paying for it. Yeah, it's just funny. I mean, it would take some getting used
It
to,
just
but
feels.
they've got to try it.
Mhm.
It's good they're trying something.
It feels weird because it is esports.
Yeah.
It's sports. It's very normal to have like premium live events to be streamed, for a certain amount of money. Or
I mean, sports, it's
you know,
weird to have it for free. Like, at least I don't
yeah,
know how it is for
exactly.
every country. Like in England, for example, there'll be like government rules about or government like certain laws about sport where like there have to be X number of national football matches available for free per year. Like it has to be like legally enforced, otherwise they would never do it for free because everyone would pay for it because they're used to paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very strange. I think
Yep.
like it probably didn't help. Like the Overwatch League back in the day kind of scared everyone off of doing these sorts of things as well. I remember they had like a massive deal with Twitch, like $100 million or something ridiculous for exclusivity on Twitch. I mean, really, it's just Twitch being idiots paying that much when you're a free to watch platform. They're obviously not going to make that money back. So that scared people a little bit
Mm-hmm.
probably. So that's also another thing. Like I wonder just how much they're paying for it too, because again, it's probably an experimental thing. I don't know that. Maybe Disney, because it's for them, it's an experiment, so they wouldn't mind paying a decent price for them to kind of see how it goes. So maybe Riot's actually like getting a decent little bit of money
Yeah.
for it as well.
And they would be pioneers, They would be pioneers if it works out, or if Riot want to do another deal, they will first think of Disney Plus that gave them that experimental approach to it, and that worked actually, if it works.
Probably
So
benefit of it being something like Disney Plus as well is like I imagine it must be global. Like Disney's such a massive company, it's a bit different to other ones. Like loads of these streaming platforms are like much more regional. Obviously, there's like Netflix that's massive as well. But thinking of things like I don't know, HBO or something. That feels to me like more of an American one. Yeah, just things like that where
Yep.
certain platforms obviously wouldn't have the same reach that
But
Riot has now doing it for free.
But it's no secret that Riot is having a hard time to finding the right balance for their economic strategy out of esports. And especially we saw it this year. They allowed betting sponsors to come in. I think we will see a lot more of it from next year. They allowed also alcohol sponsors. And I feel like, for example, Counter-Strike, they really don't need that much of this. Like, first, because Valve has no grasp on the esports ecosystem, like not that much as much as, for example, Riot, that is running every competition, right? But even without that, Counter-Strike is open to way more sponsors, than Riot, because of the fact that it's a very different audience. I feel like, when you take it in the most simple way possible, there's one where it's people with guns and weapons that fight against each other, while the other is really like small and cute monsters and sorcerers that are throwing spells to each other.
There's some guns.
And honestly,
And some guns.
And a cigar. And a cigar.
Yeah. Yeah, but in general, you get my point. And I feel like that's also a reason why Riot is having a very hard time to find, maybe the right betting sponsors or the right alcohol they want to promote or stuff. While, Counter-Strike doesn't have those kind of constraints. They just do whatever they want and promote whatever they want. No one will fall on them and say it's not ethic, There's no ethic in that and stuff. So, yeah,
Do you
I feel
think
like
we'll see a stake logo in the LCS at least?
I wanted to say, so since like Riot lifted this stuff, I think the first betting sponsor, because they were saying they're going to lift it, but they would vet every company. The first one has come through in Valorant, which is MIBR are now sponsored by 1xBet.
Which is like probably the worst of them all, right?
I was going to say, like, if you
Oh
just
my
like Google like any few things about it, I don't know what the vetting procedure is. 1xBet is not short of controversies and dodgy stuff. So allegedly, but yeah, I mean that's
but you see, they and there have been a lot of complaints about it.
Also,
right?
1xBet is all over Counter-Strike. Well,
exactly. And so I feel like my point was that they need to find strategies to make it profitable, And I feel like this one could be a good one, like this possibility to have like TV revenue, in a way, TV rights, as we do in sports, could be a good opportunity for them to just have a profitable economic model,
Yeah.
And that's why I do think this is an experiment that, if it works out, could hit the whole season in a few years, Maybe not right now because it's a bit too early, and they won't, as Riot always do, they will want to do that very progressively, right? But in the end, in like maybe 5 years, 6 years, I do feel like it's a possibility if it works out.
Yeah, I feel like it may even be timed like to start trying things like this, kind of in line even with like the new like where they're doing a new engine. That's I think Sheep reported that now. Like obviously the hopes with that is that it's going to be like it's going to rejuvenate the game. Because I don't feel like it's probably even any secret that League's probably not exactly growing in player base these days. Like it is an old game. A lot of the players are probably getting older. Like myself, like I would like to play the game. I just when you're an adult, you have less time to do things. It can be harder. So I feel like it's just their player base is like aging slightly. So if they can kind of rejuvenate that, then they've kind of done the done the experiments on this sort of stuff as well. See how it goes. And actually, like I feel like the last kind of thing they even tried anything like this was probably like the ProView thing back, like, and even that was like years ago at this point as well. In terms of like trying to get people to pay for anything, absolutely anything. And And I don't even know why they stopped doing that. Really, I can only imagine that nobody.
I think they wanted
nobody
to
did
put it
it.
back. I think they wanted to put
Oh,
it
really?
back, but they never did. I don't know why.
I paid for
You know,
it.
with
Yeah,
the
Good.
there's been a lot of like talk about bringing Pro V back. But I don't know. I haven't heard any updates.
yeah, I think at the moment, you know, where they wanted to promote the like their website and the streams through their website, they were talking about having those functions and those features in the website where you can just switch to ProView if you paid the subscription, as well as having you know I don't know if it was like the Twitch Prime that you needed to have Twitch Prime and you can get it, or if it was a specific subscription you need to add on their website. But anyway, you could have that as well as some rewards on the game for it. And in the end they never done it. I don't know why, but in the end they did that stuff where it's those that interface that like feature where it's much more like you can click on the champions icons and stuff and see what are their runes and what are their damage output out of the team fight and stuff. So I think they added that instead, but yeah, I don't know why they didn't put it through.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's be honest. Do people really pay for
I
stuff
w-
like that?
I think I would have paid to see, like, for example, I'm an AGC. I would have paid to see like the pro view of
I paid for
AGC's
ProView like
live,
immediately when it came out, because and this was when I actually like was just more of a fan, and I used to just watch. I used to play the game all the time. I used to watch it all the time, and I was like a top lane main, and I would pay, and then I would, if there was a good top laner playing, I would watch their top lane POV.
No. Yeah. ProView I get, but like
I mean, like the
the
extra
more recent ones,
details, the extra stats and shit, probably
yeah,
not.
the extra bits. Hmm.
Yeah, all that stuff is free anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah, ProView would be nice.
No.
Talking about KeSPA Cup, the KeSPA Cup itself, then. Also, the other like surprising news of it is C9 and Team Liquid being there too, which is like kind of another bit of news that came out of absolutely nowhere. But it makes sense because that's like the one problem that I have in League is that there's just like not enough off-season stuff happening. Like obviously, the KeSPA Cup happens every year, and that's nice for Korean teams. But for I feel like for LEC, unless you're like one of the popular teams that gets invited to League of its own now, which even that has only happened the last few years. Before that, there'd be just fuck all to do for like 2-3
and
months.
even League of its own, honestly, even like League
It's
of
like a
its own
for
is
fun thing
it's
as
a
well.
1-day event,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, it's a for fun 1-day event. Now it's a real competition, you know.
Yeah. So props to
So
those guys for getting, because I
this,
think they like asked and like, so was it like C9 had the initiative to like push for it to get in as well. So good thinking for them.
Yeah, I heard of that. Yeah.
yeah, I think it was the C9's manager or Team Liquid's manager. Please don't hate me if I get the information. But one of the managers on one of those teams, they reached out to KeSPA to basically set this up. And it's very interesting this year, especially because it ties in like every team that is competing in this, they're bringing their full LCK roster, right? So yes, it's incredible like
Oh,
off-season
really?
content.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Just
confirmed.
came out
Like
today. It's something to
they
do with
they will
like
have.
for like
Oh
eligibility
wow.
for Asia games that they have to be playing their full rosters
Yeah,
already.
so you have to play a certain amount of games in this season to be eligible to be considered for representing Team Korea in the Asian Games.
And Genji,
And
for
because
example, the Genji players, didn't they play enough?
well, no, like for 2026, like for the 2026 season.
And then I
Well,
guess it
I
counts
to
from
be honest
yeah.
with you, I don't know what the like detailed criteria is, but the main one is that you have to play a certain amount of games for the 2026 season, to my knowledge. And that's why every team is fielding their their full LCK roster. And with the new rosters, and there's also people are not talking about this. There's also the Japanese and the Vietnamese All Stars that are competing in
Yeah.
this. And
But it was already the
one of
case
the
last year, right?
yes. But I think SOFM returning as for Team Vietnam is also very interesting to watch. But again, they're a team of all stars versus a team that some teams already had. They're like an established team, and so I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how they will do, especially against NA, who's widely considered much weaker compared to the LCK rosters.
But I think what is
So-
interesting actually is to see the fact that because C9 and Team Liquid are two of the best teams in NA, and like usually they face the best teams of Korea, right? Not the like middle of the pack or like the bad teams, right? Now they will face any of them most likely. So that's interesting to see like what's the actual balance of power between NA and like the West in general and the middle of the pack in Korea. You know, I think that's an interesting part of it.
So I have the match, like which NA teams are playing who. C9 are playing Genji in the first game.
Trial by fire.
They're also playing HLE. In like
Yeah,
in the
because they're
game
different
after.
groups, right? I think Team Liquid as an easier group.
Yes, TL is playing Nongshim. They skip a day and then they play T1 and then Japan.
Yeah.
So C9
And so-
definitely has
And so
work.
Genji and T1 and all those teams are putting their main roster in the tournament.
Mhm.
Damn. Okay, that's interesting. And also it will be a first sneak peek to how, for example, PaZe will do. For example, D+, I'm very, very hyped about this roster. And it will give us a glimpse of how it will look also, you know, with Smash and Career. So yeah, there's a lot of, you know, you just have like the Red Bull League of its own, where you can like find out for a day where all the teams are trolling and doing like playing weird stuff. Like you can find out a bit like how the teams works with their new roster. Now you will have a full tournament to actually really witness what the team is capable of before the start of the LCK, you know, and that's also very interesting, as well as, you know, the fact that NA could have a chance because, like, I'm not saying they will win, right, but they could have a chance to do well because of the fact that every team outside of Genji, but like every team has made changes and they need to readapt, you know, they need to adjust things to get their synergy together and stuff. So I think they have something that can help them, you know, in this kind of tournament, is that they also, like, every team is
Also,
new.
group stage is a best of one.
Yeah. That's
So anything
yeah.
happen in a best of one.
Yeah, true.
But C9 are playing Genji and then they're playing How to Life. So the chances are on paper looking kind of slim, but again, it's also a best of one, so it'll be interesting.
And also, like we say, like it's going to be like obviously a better watch, knowing that everyone has to fill their full rosters. But even like back in the day when people would generally put stronger rosters out, it still not like the most important event of the year. Like it still is like an exhibition off-season thing at the end of the day. So there still might be teams that aren't going super hard, especially some of the ones that have. Like if you are a Gen G, where you've been in like almost played the maximum amount of games possible across the year, like literally only extra game you could have played as a World's Final, you might still be a bit knackered and might not be going like super try hard for this. At least I wouldn't knock them if they were doing that. But so yeah, with that plus best of ones, like you never know, could be an upset or two.
Yeah.
Any other bits? Any other rosters that we're interested in seeing, especially in the
what,
KeSPA
sorry?
Cup? Like any other rosters that you're got your eyes on?
Honestly, I think it's mostly D plus and T1, because I want to see how PaZe is doing. Obviously HLE as well, with Guma and Kanavi. I'm really hyped to see how this roster plays out. As I don't know if I said it with you, but I feel like the fact that Guma and Zeus are reuniting again is very interesting, because I think both players worked so well together because of the fact that one was very good at weak siding, playing with low resources, and actually making the most out of it in team fights and stuff, which was obviously Gumayusi, and the other was very good to play the strong side and having tons of resources and yeah, just carrying the game over, you know. So yeah, I think it's very interesting to see that dynamic plays out again, and as well as Kanavi being a very, like, carry jungler, heavy carry jungler, that will, he will have probably the best utilitarian AD carry that he can ask for, which is Guma. And yeah, I feel like this roster, if the magic is happening and everyone synergizes very well with each other, I feel like this roster can be a real world contender for next year. Like even maybe more than Genji.
Oh,
But I also see this roster crash out a lot, honestly, especially because of Zeka. I'm really not a fan of Zeka, and I feel like he could drag down this team. I hope he doesn't, but he could. I hope um, Kanavi find the right way to make him play with him, and that they find the right way to provoke skirmishes and stuff. And with the jump pool of Zika, maybe the Akali, the Sylas and stuff, maybe they can do great stuff in early game and just get a huge lead from it. If they find that right balance to actually find that synergy together, I feel like they can be very good. But honestly, yeah, I'm kind of scared about Zeka dragging this roster down. Yeah, and Delight as well, because I don't think he had a very good year, honestly.
What do you think about Nongshim's roster? Because Scout is
I'm not
returning.
hyped. I'm not hyped at all. And I'm gonna tell you why. I feel like Scout was not himself this year at all. Like
Yeah,
with
I agree.
JGG, he
Mhm.
was really not playing well, and so I'm very scared about how he looks. I hope that, because obviously the year with JGG was kind of a one, like an outlier in his career. Like all the other years he was very good. Even the year before with LNG was very good. Um, so I feel like I just hope that he can show a better version of himself going back in Korea. It's been a long time also for him, so I'm quite interested to see how it will goes. But yeah, I feel like if he plays the same way he played this year, this roster is not going to do well. Maybe not even as well as they did this year, because actually the roster was decent this year.
Mm.
Ghost support as well. Debut. That could be.
Yeah, I think maybe they will put Polu first to give Ghost time to adapt to this new role. But I'm not sure. I think they said that. I think I heard that they wanted to start the year with Polu, and maybe if Ghost adapt well during the year and stuff, maybe either it will be a 6-man roster, or Ghost will take the place of Polu. If it, like, they want to have both possibilities, I guess. But I do think that Polu is the most likely to start in this team.
I think Ghost is there just to kind of give advice to Polu on how, like, to
Probably, yeah.
based off his experience. But again, at the same time, he's like trying to adjust to like his new role, right? So I think both players will learn a lot from each other. Like Ghost will learn what it takes, like all the nitty gritty about like the support role, while Ghost can kind of offer him a perspective on from like a bot laner, like from an AD carry perspective, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's what the synergy, like what KT's kind of like banking on, and what their game plan was by acquiring both Ghost and Palu. Now that being said, was that a good move, especially with
It's
aiming?
kind of weird, yeah.
Eh,
Kind of
yeah,
weird.
it's kind of weird because
Like you just go out of a Worlds final and you get Polu, Ghost, and aiming. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
like Duck Down Peter on paper, I feel like especially with like what they achieved this year is definitely like the better pick for KT. But we'll see.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Dogdam Peter, honestly. Especially Dogdam. I feel like Peter like did very well in the end at Worlds and stuff, but like during the year he had a lot of hard moments. I feel like Dogdam is usually very meta dependent. Like he's very good at those Ezreal, Ziggs, champions, like this kind of playstyle. But yeah, I'm kind of sad for BGG and Cuz, man. I feel like they are being kind of kind of yeah, scammed.
There,
Honestly.
there- there's a there's a photo of that BDD took with one of the as like a, like the little graphics where they said, "Oh, like he got like a couple hundred kills, like it's a milestone, congrats," stuff like that. And he took one doing this, like literally. So that meme,
It's a bit scary. Yeah.
yeah,
I hope I
I
hope
hope he doesn't do that.
it just like goes better for him. And I don't know, man. I feel like KT is not the best suit for him because I'm not sure if you have any info on that quest, but as I heard, KT is having trouble time like financially. I heard that they had a lot of economics issues recently. And yeah, I guess that's a reason why they needed to, even though they went to World Final, they needed to like. I heard maybe even this year they had discussions about maybe even quitting the league and stuff. So yeah, I've the impression that they just made the most out of what they could possibly do. But honestly, when you're BDD and KeS, you just want a roster that can win LCK, and this roster is
Yeah.
not like built for it for sure, So yeah, I'm kind of sad for them.
I don't know what the details of like the financial strains that like the KT roster as like the league org is going through, but I do know that there was like a massive like data breach with the KT's like the mother organizer, like the mother company, which is Korea Telecom, obviously, which
Yep.
KT, right? So that's where that could be like a potential reason behind KT's like financial burdens, but again, I don't know the
Yeah.
details of it.
Yeah, and another note, there's a roster that didn't change that much, which is Ferex, but I'm very hyped again to see that bot lane duo going after 1 year of experience, with Kellyn and Diable. I feel like this bot lane duo can be very, very scary coming into their second year together, because I was honestly not thinking at all that they could match the best bot lanes in the world, like the Genji bot lane, the T1 bot lane, the HLE bot lane. I didn't think they could match them, but not only they match them, I feel like a lot of time they storm them laning phase wise, right? So yeah, I'm very, very interested to see how it will plays out in their second year with all that experience in mind,
So Daystar is one of the players that I'm like
Yeah.
really looking forward to playing, just because of like how much success he had in LCKCL.
Yeah, I heard of him, yeah.
And it's like him. Like there's a bunch of rookies like that. Like this year, like Daystar's one of them. Zinni, who's on Shopify, that's another one. And like career on DK. So
Yeah.
and especially with Diablo, like already like showing signs of he even looks like Deft too. So people call him like Baby Deft, right? So it'll be very interesting to watch.
I feel like he's more aggressive. Like maybe Deft in the early days then, but I feel like he's way more aggressive than Deft from what we see right now. But yeah,
I agree.
I can get the comparison, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, honestly, Daystar, I think I heard of him also because I think Casey was interested as well. When they were looking for
was
Korean
there a
laners.
Korean challenger mid laner they didn't want?
Like I think they were interested in many of them. That's true, but like they were only looking there, honestly. But
West could
yeah,
have joined.
Daystar was in the little papers. Sorry, who?
West could have joined.
Oh no.
I'm not sure.
Nope.
Like maybe
No.
maybe they were looking for
No.
Katarina mains, like for 6-man rosters and stuff. But
I am very washed.
Fair enough.
but also Daystar, there's a like we don't know if he will start or not. It's a bit like the same situation like as Polio or Ghost. Like a lot of teams right now, like not a lot, but many teams have done those 6-man rosters, and that's very interesting to see like how the dynamics will play out. And I think they want to have the more options possible because of the fact that it's fearless draft now, and you have to have the more options in draft as much as you can. So I feel like they just want to have the most possibilities. And I feel like Daystar and Vikla, it's not sure again who will start first. And yeah, there's a lot of dynamics like that will play out in many leagues, and in LCK it will mostly go to like Podu Ghost and Daystar Vikla. And yeah.
Okay, let's move on. So another thing
the
that
pass
has
of CFO.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So something that's been confirmed now that was rumored already is coach voice comms, and it's happening. So it's going to be trialed in the LCK and in the LCP.
Yeah.
It's not going to
Will it
be
be in the KeSPA Cup actually? I
I
don't
wasn't
think so,
sure if
right?
it's KeSPA Cup. I haven't read the article from LoL esports for the LCK. I only saw the LCP one. So I don't know if there's any differences. Exactly. So for the LCP, it's going to be from the first split of next year. Yeah, LCK, I'm not too sure. But what was
And so it's
interesting?
three times,
Yeah.
45 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Is it 45 seconds? 45 seconds. Yeah, 45 seconds each, up to
yeah.
3 times.
So
during
45
a set.
seconds,
Yeah.
3 times. The coaches
In the same game, right?
Yeah. Within one match, the game isn't paused, which was like a question mark, but I feel like it could have never really worked with a pause. I feel like that would have been a bit crazy. So the game continues. The coaches can talk for 45 seconds. Now the coaches have to tell the TO before the match if they're planning to use the coach comms, because then if they are, then it'll be made sure that they'll only be able to watch the match through their own team's vision.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another question mark.
Yeah.
Like usually the coaches see the whole thing. Obviously it'd be ridiculous
Yeah.
if you could just go on, do a quick mic check and say, oh yeah, they got a pink ward here, pink ward. Well, bloody hell, pink.
I'm
ward's
afraid
not
of the
showing my
bugs
age.
on this one. I'm afraid of the bugs on this one. Imagine if there's a bug or if
Well, that's what they
a
had in
team
that was the big Counter-Strike
sneaks
thing back in the
something.
day, wasn't it? There was like a spectator bug in Counter-Strike that the coaches abused
Yeah.
and they all got punished. But so that's the things that have been clarified. So yeah, the teams have to like say that they want it, and then they get their own vision only. It's not been said outright, I don't think, but I'd assume that if you didn't opt in, then you would still see the full vision like normal. That's my assumption anyway. They did put an FAQ, so there's a few things that they've got on there just in case anyone.
So actually, just it will be like 430 in the end. Like on each game, you will have 430 minutes of coach comms, and it will actually the audience will be up to like listen to them,
That's
or
everything.
will
So
it
that
be
was
only
in the FAQs. There's will coach comms, and this is for the LCP. So again, maybe LCK has
Okay.
different answers. I'm not 100% sure. But on the LCP one, it says will coach comms audio be used on the broadcast? Answer: coach comms audio will not be played during the broadcast. So if you remember
Okay.
when Sheep reported it, one of the things that apparently was like part of the reason Riot was going to do it was like new ways to reinvigorate the broadcast or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that they're not going to actually, at least during the trial phase, they don't plan on showing it. Which makes me wonder a little bit what the point is. I guess maybe teams had been asking for it, because I guess if you're a coach that like has any self-belief, you would imagine you can use this to your benefit. So I imagine like every coach would want it because they feel like they could probably give useful chats during the game. Maybe
I
a
think
bit
there
of
will be a lot of
missed
fraud
opportunity,
check as well.
A lot of what?
There will be a lot of fraud check as well.
Well, that was what we were saying. Like,
feel
would have been maybe one of the benefits, or like at least one of the interesting aspects from it, from like a viewership perspective. You'd have more insight into what the coach actually does, but apparently not. We're not going to hear him. At least, like, I don't know, because maybe I could maybe imagine on like a mic check video, they'd have some bits in there, because you could ask the same thing in general. Like players can talk to each other. Will comms be broadcast? Will comms audio be on broadcast? Obviously, they're not, except for like the few snippets that they hear. So maybe they could still do things like that without broadcasting the whole thing. So that was a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah.
A bit of a missed opportunity, maybe. So basically,
if a team is asking to have it, it doesn't mean that the other team will have it as well, right?
Correct. So I think
any team is free of making their choice, right?
Yeah. So so that was a couple other things. So it'd be like 2 coaches that are allowed to talk. And then they only see their own POV. Will the opposing team know when the coach comm is used? No, they won't. Is it mandatory? No. Coach comms is optional. The team may choose whether to use it. Teams must confirm their decision before the game begins and cannot change this decision once the game is loaded. So it's just something purely a change from the team side, really. It's not going to really, at least now in the first versions is not going to have much impact for like viewers.
From
or
what I
anything.
heard in a Melzet interview, the head coach of MKOI, I heard that he was the only one willing to have this feature on the LEC next year in the LEC. Like any other coaching staff said no,
Really?
which is interesting. I feel like
Well, I just saw
From what he said,
today.
it's Melzet that said that.
Yeah. I wonder when that would have been. Well, because like I just saw today a tweet from Hidon, who's meant to be the new Giant X head coach, like reacting to the
No,
news
it's
of this.
Kyoto.
Oh, not
It's
Giant X. No,
Kyoto,
what am I
the
thinking?
head coach.
Heretics, maybe.
Yeah,
I think Heretics.
probably. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just confusing my Spanish orgs. But he tweeted saying like, "Oh, can we get this in LEC?" But I guess like he wasn't in the LEC last year, so maybe when the discussions were happening, he obviously wouldn't have been involved. So they could be right, but I
possibly,
mean,
yeah.
I'd be really surprised. Like, no other coach would think they could benefit from it. Bit of a mad one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do think like maybe a lot of them are also scared, They're so scared that this new
More
possibility
scrutiny, innit?
just give a better edge to the best coaches than
Well,
to
I
them,
imagine, yeah, maybe if it was like if we say going from like what Sheep was reporting, assuming that was right, and the intention was for things to be on broadcast, maybe that's how the coaches were
Yeah, as
approached.
well.
Like, we want to do these things, and it'll be displayed on broadcast, and they were saying, "Fuck no, I don't want to do that."
Yeah,
Maybe in
especially as
this
coaches
way
are
yeah, go on.
especially as coaches are mostly like like people that are walking in the shadow, So I feel like I guess they like it that way, Um, this is not usually people that want to be highlighted or showcased in the team environment. Or I know, for example, that outside of MKOI that did all those documentaries, with the team speaks and the talks within the team, with Melzet having a lot of giving a lot of insight and stuff. I feel like when you look at it in the other teams, usually it's much less transparent. It's much less like there's much more. The work of the coach is much more blurred. You don't see it that much, and also because I think it's a coach decision. They don't want people to or cameras to sneak into their team environment or where they have like big discussions or so maybe if it happens that they can talk to their team live, maybe they will say to them stuff that they wouldn't want to people to hear on broadcast. Not even because it will be not relevant or it will not be the best decisions or stuff, but just because the way they will talk to them, for example, could not be the best way or the way people will expect them to talk to them. For example,
I was thinking that. Well, you see, like just whenever there's like the FlyQuest documentary. I know it's not wasn't the coach, but imagine if the coach was the one talking like that. Or what we've seen from like Asian teams sometimes when they do these documentaries and everyone's like up in arms about the thing. Like, could you imagine the LCK broadcast it and they're broadcasting like CV Max his chats with his players. That I would like to see. Imagine I would pay to watch.
Oh,
imagine,
so,
I would pay my subscription to Disney Plus as well. But imagine like you have Mitty, for example, that said to his players, guys, you are not Korean. Imagine if he just says that in the middle of the game, guys, stop thinking you're Koreans. You're not. Just play the game through fundamentals or stuff like that. That would be insanely funny, but it will also not be like it will not give a good a good image of him, and of his work. While I do think sometimes maybe you have to talk to the players like that when you're a coach and that you want to achieve success, And some players are more receptive to that kind of stuff as well.
So funny you mentioned CV Max earlier, actually, because CV Max, he's known to make like the most weirdest analogies to explain like his point of view. So imagine you're just listening to these comms and you're talking about like you hear CV Max like, oh, you should just bark harder and stop being scared or whatever. Like, making those like weird analogies like that. Which, we call it, well, not we, but the Korean community calls it the language of C.
Which means coach or
No,
console?
which means the language of CV Max, which no one seems to understand. Yeah.
Okay.
But one thing that I do want to mention is that the for LCK anyways, the the coach's voice comm will only be limited to the group stage. So no voice comms during the play-ins and playoffs. And they're really like tapping into like the whole experiment with
Yeah.
this because it's at the early season, and B, they're only limiting to the group stages. So now do I think that the voice comms from coaches will drastically play or drastically affect how the players are playing? Absolutely not. Because some teams will get gapped and some teams will, keep it even like T1 Gen G. But it will be more interesting to see this in especially in like the LEC, because I think the coaches. So in Korea, there's like the head coach role where they're like more like the general manager, and they have like their coaching staff who's like they have a dedicated analyst. They have like you know they have like coaches for like positional roles and stuff like that. And I think that coaches in the West have more insert when it comes to like talking
Yeah.
about gameplay
Yeah.
compared to like the Asian coaching staff.
Yeah.
So
And
I think that this will benefit the West a little bit more, if anything, if this was implemented in LCS or LEC.
yeah, so I also think we already talked about it. I think the last time we discussed that coach thing, but when your team, for example, or a certain player is not playing as he should, or is not having like, and that only the coach can, like, feel it, or maybe knows the best how to talk to him, or how to make him more responsive, more to change his mind in the middle of a game or stuff, or to put him in the right direction, right? I feel like a lot of players, they won't do that because they don't want to either micromanage a player in the middle of a game, or they just don't know the right words to kind of wake him up. While I do think coaches can play that role in some situations. So I think it can be very good and very interesting to have this, especially in Europe, for that reason. And outside of it, I wanted to say about the experiments part. I feel like Riot, every time they like put an experiment into every time they have an experiment going into the competitive circuit, the official competitive circuit, every time it's because they will implement it in the end, like anyway. For example, last year in the summer there was that fearless draft. Not like last year, this year, but like in 2024, they put fearless draft in the Chinese second league. Then they put it in LPL summer league, and GLPL only for the regular season in summer, and then it happens on every season for the next year. So I feel like whenever they reach the point of making an experiment go live, I have the impression that it's because they have a clear idea that they want to bring that on the official circuit in every region. It's just like more they want to do it progressively, more that they want to see if it works or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think for Fearless Draft, I think it was almost universally agreed that the Fearless Draft was a lot better. Like, you didn't want to see Victor Azir every game,
Yeah.
in the mid lane, or like, matchups got like boring, stale. So from a viewership perspective and from like strategical, like from any angle that you can approach this with, I think that Fearless Draft was a positive change in the direction. Now, do I see the same amount, like the same energy and like the same vibe with the coaches com? Absolutely not.
Mm. But I
Because
do
this
think
is
like I do feel like as an audience, I would be very, very interested to see how coaches talk to their player in the middle of the game, even though they know that it's broadcasted on live and that they need to watch how they talk or stuff. I feel like I would be very, very interested to see how they try to bring new energy and stuff. So if it's eventually like hit the main broadcast, like the talks in the middle of the game hits the broadcast, I feel like it can be a very good add-on for the audience in general as well.
The one
I can just imagine Los Ratones, like if this was in the LEC, let's say, and Yamato's like smooth, suave ass voice, just 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 enter the players' comms, talk to the players. It'd be funny. I think it'd be
Yeah.
very funny.
I would say, like, I guess the I think that the expectation of it being on broadcast was just from the first reports, but then when you look at like any other game, there's like Valorant or CS or whatever that have timeouts. It's
Yeah.
like it's obviously not a
Mm.
thing that they always
It's
display. 'Cause
never
I guess
broken.
the
Yeah.
the obvious thing is that when you're doing these kind of timeouts or these coach comms, as they're called for League, it's most of it is going to be tactical stuff, which just wouldn't be appropriate to like just blare out on the
True, true.
broadcast. So that's where I think there'll
Mhm.
probably be like
Yep.
snippets that come out in videos where it's not like something.
Yeah,
doesn't-
exactly.
doesn't
Maybe you can
reveal
have
something.
some
So like,
on
that
the voice
happens
comms and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So like there was a big one. Only because it's recent, it's in my head still. That in the Valorant Champions, there was a big one where NRG, who were like the eventual winners, they did like release a couple of comms clips where their coach was like not, but what wasn't like tactical things that it's like that revealed anything. It was him saying like, "Why are you not following the game plan?" and like without saying what the game plan was, and because it was a thing where they did a timeout and afterwards they just like won like 6 rounds in a row back to back. So I could see that sort of thing happening, like snippets coming out.
Yeah.
But I guess it's it's
More
not
But
like
content.
that
true,
crazy.
true. I feel like it wouldn't be appropriate to have it like broadcast on
Like
the main
like
broadcast.
the players' comms, it'd be the same thing as having that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
true.
you know, poor
But
old.
then the LEC had some player comms at some moments, on the casual stream and stuff. If you were watching the casual co-stream, sometime for no reason you would have the comms popping off and you just don't understand why, which was fun. But
Or you get
yeah,
XL Esports putting a whole VOD on YouTube, and then Targamas getting getting
yeah,
hated for like basically till now, still off of that one VOD.
yeah.
So,
Crazy.
I mean, it'll also be interesting if LCK decides to like take the replay with the voice comms from coaches in it and like broadcast it like as how like after the game like they show replays of
Yeah.
and sometimes they even add like the
Yeah, exactly,
player
yeah.
voice comms in there. But
But
especially
just
with Gen
that,
Z, like Ruler, he's been caught on broadcast so many times, like just cursing because he's got like his pentakill stolen or something.
yeah.
You know, so it'll be funny to watch if there are moments like that in the LCK. as
Shibal.
well.
Well, I would say at least for
Yeah, exactly.
the LEC, like if you imagine the best case scenario would be, I guess, you could start playing it and then you've maybe got a few second delay, and as soon as they say something that shouldn't be there, okay, you cut it. I
Exactly, yeah.
I wouldn't
Just
trust the
they have a grasp
LEC.
on it,
I wouldn't trust the LEC production to do it because it's obviously the same production team as VCT EMEA, and they had a moment where it wasn't even a live thing, where like at the end of each round they would usually show some kind of player's reaction or something, and they showed the IGL of one of Team Vitality. So again, this is a replay, not a live thing. They loaded up a replay and
Is
played
it
it.
Derk?
It wasn't Durka. It was
Okay.
Safe, who was his IGL.
Okay.
Of him saying like they were losing the match, and he's trying to say something to kind of like reinvigorate and get the vibes going. And he says to his teammates, "If we win this round, my mum will give us blowjobs."
Oh my
and,
god.
and they showed a
Wow.
replay of it.
Wow.
And
Oh
he
god.
came out and
Damn.
like apologized. I felt really awful for him because he's just like saying anything and he's not really thinking about
Yeah,
it.
and he's having fun with his friends,
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the end. So,
and
yeah.
then he came out apologized like I was inappropriate and stuff. And I'm thinking they fucking owe
Yeah.
you an apology for playing that on the
Yeah,
broadcast.
that's the right production that should publicly apologize. Yeah.
Again, a replay,
True.
not a live thing that didn't get cut. They loaded a replay of him saying it. So there you go. So I wouldn't maybe trust him for that anyway.
But I would want to see it as
Okay,
well.
so maybe just one. We'll do one more quick one. That I think was probably a quick one anyway. But I just thought it was worth touching on just because it's a current thing, and I think it was maybe like an important topic as well. They kind of triggered it where DonJake is doing these off-season interviews, and he just did one with Upset, which he's like has said is
I
his
watched
best
it.
one.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've just not had time to watch like all of his the ones he's been doing. I made an effort to watch the Upset parts, like where he's talking about like the mental health stuff, because obviously with Upset, like it's no secret that he gets like so much shit
Hate, yeah.
online. Mainly, I think from the world seeing like I see people say it's like, oh, he used to be a toxic player and he's too cocky for not winning stuff and all that.
A lot of players have been that
But
way.
I feel like
honestly.
the world thing of him backing out of
In
Worlds at last
2021,
second, was like clearly the catalyst. And people,
Yeah.
I mean, even in the comments of the Reddit thread of this interview we did with DonJake, even there still people are saying, oh, well, I'm not going to lose sleep over this guy like that ditched his team in the most important time of the year and that. And basically he's saying in like one of the most poignant parts of the interview is where he's kind of talking openly about it, how he's had all this horrible stuff, and luckily he's like got a good family that he could like talk to his parents about it. Because I mean, even that sort of thing, like not everyone would feel comfortable. Like I don't think I would feel that comfortable talking to my parents about things like that. Just depends on the household you grow up in, and
and also his wife, because his wife has been the main target of all those criticisms, especially after Worlds, you know.
And yeah, one of the like poignant parts about of the interview is where DonJake's saying to him like, I really respect you for talking about it in that way, because someday there could be another player that goes through this sort of thing, and like Upset stops him and he says, no, there will be another player that goes through
and
it.
he will kill himself.
And he's basically said that like if they don't have the support that I do, or they don't have the the mental to go through it, like they're going to kill themselves. And I mean, I didn't really have like an exact place to go with the discussion either. I just thought it was kind of worth bringing up as like an important thing that people should be aware of, just like to not be complete insane people on the internet. And
not the dicks.
I feel like I don't even know what the solution is, because it just happens in every aspect. Like it's not like a thing unique to League of Legends or unique to esports. It's just any internet culture where people will say things thinking that, just feeling like there's no repercussion because they're just saying it to a stranger on the internet, and it doesn't feel like you're talking to a real person. I guess like one of the things that DonJake says in the interview as well, like he'd get the occasional like horrible messages, and anytime he would engage back with the person, they would like immediately kind of drop how angry they were and would like apologize. So they almost feel like it's like people will send these messages thinking this person's never going to see it, nothing's going to happen, but I'm going to get the satisfaction of saying something horrible to this person. Why that would be satisfying, I'm not sure. And as soon as they kind of get that reality check, like, oh shit, this is a real life human being, then they kind
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say like they wake up and kind of realize that that it's not right, and like people, I don't know, they're just like in a different mindset when they're doing this sort of thing.
Yeah, what I think people are missing, and I don't know why they're missing that point, but the players, when they lose, they're the one that are the most impacted by the loss. Like it's their career, it's their life, that is taking a hit when they lose a game. While fans, they don't take a hit. Like obviously passion is a huge thing, and I respect passion, like I'm passionate about teams, I'm passionate about esports, so I love watching good games, I love watching good matches. I love when a French team is winning because I'm French, there's a lot of stuff like that, and I think a lot of people
I love when a French team is losing because I'm English. Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. And honestly, it's the best reason, and it's the main reason why esports and sports in general is so entertaining, and it's uniting all those people behind the team, behind the nation and stuff. But what I want to say is that players are the most involved in this, more than any fan, and so when you lose and you're already taking a hit in your career, in the fact that maybe your market value is taking a hit, the fact that you can't find a better team because you had bad results and stuff, all this stuff, that's already affecting you. But when you're adding to that the fact that there are fans that will go at you in your DMs and just send hatred messages and death threats and stuff, how can you possibly manage this, especially when you're young players or young people like the esports player are usually, because they are like, what, when they enter the league, some are 18. Imagine you're 18 and you're entering a league, you're having very difficult moments, you're having a very bad season, and as well as you're in a very good team or a team that is that has a lot of fans, and those fans are just being mad at you on in your DMs. Like, what do you do? You know. And so yeah, I think people do not be dicks. They just need to understand the fact that the players are the one that are the most affected by loss and by bad results in general.
So I've been on the bad end of like receiving like hateful DMs from fans. Um, on two separate occasions actually. The first was when I was actually on BBQ. Our jungler, Malice, if you know or don't know him, he was like
When
this
LS
guy
was
from
the coach.
Sweden who was playing. Yeah, Ellis was the coach. I was the head coach.
Oh right.
Um, and he was caught in a game with Antara making like racist comments or like unprofessional comments, I would say. Um, and because I kind of jumped straight to bat in defending a player, defending Malice, because obviously he's the jungler on my team,
Yeah,
right?
and it's like
Um,
you should you've got to try and protect him somehow.
yeah,
It's your job.
and it was my responsibility to, well, job, yes, but also my kind of responsibility to defend him, saying that he didn't like. I know what he said, and I know how it comes that way, but like Um, but I can't exactly remember what I said in my statement because it was like 6 years ago. But I defended him, and a lot of T1 fans um gave me a lot of shit in Twitter DMs, and it was not fun. And with LS, he told me like he was getting doxxed from like fans. So not a fun experience,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to like the Korean community. And that kind of like toxic culture that exists not just in esports like LoL esports, but also in like especially in K-pop is it
I
feels
think
like a
there's like a
different
suicide every
world.
year, right? With like idols in Korea, or like
Not
or
I
like
don't
or
know
like
about every
actors
year,
or
but
oh right, yeah. Sure.
there have been a lot of like famous actors and musicians and artists that committed, took their own life because of like the online backlash that they were getting. Plus, I would imagine like from like all the stress from all the other external factors that whatever they were going through, right? Um, and the second one, the second time I received all these like hateful DMs from again from T1 fans was I actually interviewed Coach Kim when he was with T1 in 2020, and in that interview he was like, "Yeah, to be really honest, I had to scold Faker because of like this and that." So I mean, I so I put that in an interview. The next day, I get called in by my boss at Inven, and they were like, "Did, did he really say this?" Because we're getting like emails and DMs from angry fans saying that I spread misinformation for views. And I'm like, and then I showed them the recording, and they were like, "Okay, you're good," you know. So they can be really scary, and I kind of want to take this time to kind of like talk about like the Gumayusi versus the T1 gal situation. Gumayusi said he wasn't bothered by the T1 gal, and they were not the reason why he transferred to Hanwha Life. Um,
Yeah. He said that whenever he goes,
he's
he will have haters.
yeah, he will always have haters, but I would imagine like him having like sent funeral flowers to like to the T1 HQ, and like with all this like other bullshit happening to him, I would imagine it would still affect the player.
Yeah, it played a part for sure. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that sort of thing, especially when
And
it's
like the
like
best thing.
things cross into like real life. If I was, and again, like that's not an overt threat or something, but if I'm thinking like I'm turning up to work at my office, and these people that passionately hate me have come and done something at the office, I would think like imagine a
Mhm.
group of them were there at
They
the
come
time when he
to
turned up, like he would
yeah.
feel
Yeah.
scared like that, and that's like messages of and death threats and things in
Yeah.
messages
You
are
just don't feel
horrible enough,
safe.
like but real life stuff like LS being doxxed or anyone being doxxed, and like Gumushi's dad's church or something got doxxed and things like that, like that is beyond. Like that is like people need to go to prison and have like actual real serious consequences.
Yeah, and like the government recently is just now, or I think it was one of the politicians, or like in
spoke up. Yeah,
in Korean politics, there was this issue being mentioned, and like it's funny how they're saying this now, of all, now that like because he's been going through this for years. So I think that they're working on it kind of late, and it's not just Gumayusi. Faker also has haters too. That's why he's like suing everyone.
That's how you know that people are
Like
actually
back
mentally
year.
insane.
Yeah,
What
and
could you possibly have?
especially T1 Gal, especially T1 Gal, they are like psychopaths. They are like an online cult. They are like dedicated to bringing Gumayusi down by pretending they're like dedicated T1 fans. And I've seen that like outside of like online fandom, they're just like the like whichever team it is. I think outside of the online fan, like the actual fans that show up to matches and stuff, I think they're like really cool. They're like really like they're just most of the people that I met were really good people. You know, now whether I have like talked to them personally or like just just see them cheering in the crowd, they at least to me they look pretty normal. They seem normal. So it's just the online ones that are like really bad and kind of going double taking back to the upset thing.
yeah. Well,
You
I
should
know.
never treat
Yeah,
anyone like that just because of like you shouldn't dox. You shouldn't send death threats. You shouldn't dox them. Like, come on, that's not okay. And
yeah.
I feel like shout out to my boy DonJake because I think that he did a really good job of getting Upset Story out there, um, and giving him a platform where he can be brutally honest about like what he was going through. And in all honesty, like I saw the comments on that video, and one of the comments said DonJake managed to turn one of the most like historically hated players to if, basically feeling like sympathy for him and kind of understanding his side. So I think he did a really good job presenting that side of Upset.
Yeah, and it's
And
important
yeah,
that people feel the empathy for this kind of players that have been tryharding so hard for so much years and that haven't won anything but still go again and try again.
hmm
I think those are the players that deserve the most credits for their or like everyday work. Because not only they they like try, they just like they crumble again and again, and they try again and again, and they don't stop the grind. So yeah. And to come back on the online stuff, I feel like obviously anonymity is like playing a huge part in the fact that players are just like more
hmm
like horrible online. Like they just feel like they are untouchable, right? um and yeah, that's the main problem of socials and internets right now, obviously.
I feel like if you were a player, the only thing I could recommend is just like, especially if you've lost, just like do not go on your phone, at least like for the rest of the evening or something. I know it's difficult to say where like, especially it's like young, like a lot of pro players are young people that have grown up with the like just being on
With
a phone
internet, yeah.
non-stop, and it's just you just feel the urge to do it, like right or wrong, and even if you know it's going to be horrible comments, it's just have the urge to go and look and see what they're saying.
Yeah.
And it's just like like human beings are not wired to like we bloody evolved from being in like groups of a dozen or 2 dozen people, and it's just your brain is like not wired to have responses coming from like hundreds and thousands of people at any one time. Like
Yeah.
I've never had like a crazy one. I had like one couple of hour spell once where like KC fans were like were not very happy with me, and this was back when they were in like ERL, so they maybe wasn't quite as big at the time. And
But honestly,
and it wasn't well, it
yeah,
wasn't crazy. I wasn't getting like I didn't get death threats or nothing. I had like some not very nice messages, But it's just the fact like you just see like notification, comment, message, and like you get like adrenaline. Like our
Yeah,
brains
exactly.
are not equipped to like handle this
Yeah.
situation. Again, mine wasn't
And
like
process the situation. Yeah.
mine wasn't horrible, but certainly for those couple of hours, I was like I didn't feel great for those couple of hours. I was getting stuff. I
And
dread to think
whether
what the pro players get.
honestly, whether you receive good or bad messages, it's the same. Honestly, like even if you like, no, it's not the same. Obviously, like you won't feel the same way. But what I mean is that the brain is not
Unnatural.
is not like, it's not natural for you to receive that much love when there's a lot of people that are happy for you or that want you to success and stuff. So yeah, when it comes to the good way and for the good reason, you can feel the support that is kind of balancing the fact that you receive hatred at the same time, or that you received hatred in the past, right? But if you only receive like good messages and by hundreds, your brain is not made for that as well, and it's very hard to handle, especially for young players like that. Again, I point out that because I think it's very important. Like, for example, Vladi had a lot of backlash after his very like unprofessional statement about the community and stuff on Twitch. Like, and a lot of people were saying he deserves it because of what he said and stuff. Yeah, what he said was unprofessional, but he's 19. He's 19. He's not, and he's a, especially when you take in consideration that the player we're talking about, they are not that much PR trained, and as well as they are people that are in front of their PC pretty much like 27, like 24/7. Like, they're always on their PC. They're not, I think a lot of team managers spoke about it, but they're not. I was gonna say they're not like normal humans, but obviously they are normal humans. But you know what I mean? Like, they're not
And they're
as
not like socially as adept.
yes,
They've not had the
exactly.
normal like Yeah, I know what you're trying
Yeah,
to say. It's fun, it's hard to describe, but like
yeah,
where
yeah,
they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
not like the most social
Mhm.
people. Probably they're like
Yeah,
sitting in the bedroom all day, don't interact
yeah,
much in real
yeah.
life and
It's just
whatever.
that they are not the most socially open people. Like they don't have a lot of social experiences in general. So you take all of that in consideration, in the fact that someone will say something that you will regret instantly, but then how can you like take him accountable for what he said and put it on his head like he said that forever, even though he's apologizing, even though he's making excuses, like yeah, I feel like it's not forgiving, this ecosystem is not forgiving because of and it should be, especially because it's young players that are not socially very very open and adapted to these environments, so yeah, and like, for example, so another thing about Bloody was the fact that he has some casino issue, also some betting issues,
Oh, he has
that's another big.
gambling issues. Oh no.
Yeah, he has gambling issues. There's a lot of people talking about that and stuff, even though it's not something official or stuff.
Yeah.
We heard it a lot about a lot of people, Even Kameto talked about it, and Kameto said something very interesting and very important to me. He said, "Guys, let's stop the fun with Vladi being a gambler or stuff. It's something that can like destroy your life, and he's a young player. He's a young adult in the making, and he needs to fix those issues, and like the fact that you guys are making fun of it is like not at all the correct way to approach it, because he's just 19 and you need to fix those problems. It's not something you can make fun out of like for free and there's no problem, it's not like I don't know, I don't know, he fell because he just slept away, or I don't know, like
Yeah,
it's
it's not
not,
like a stupid thing that
it's
he's
not,
done. Like
yeah, it's not a
it's
stupid
like an
thing. It's
illness.
something that can destroy his life, So that's
Yeah, it's a real
that's the kind of
problem.
topic. That's the kind of topic you can have fun with, or you need to be very precautious with the way you're doing it. And obviously the KC fans have not been that much with that topic, especially. So yeah, I feel like it's important also for like Kameto, like a lot of other big figures of the scene, that they just take those topics in consideration when they're talking to their fan base, and that they, can kind of wake them up on all those topics that are touching the scene and the young players.
I would just what I would say to fans that could be ever inclined to, not even just to message people, I don't even just make any any tweets or replies to things in the heat of the moment. Especially, it's just if you think that someone's done something horrible, or you think a player's done something, or interpret something a certain way, to try and think what is actually the most likely thing that has happened here. So with the upset one, people hated him about the Worlds thing, where you're 2 days away or whatever from going to Worlds. Suddenly he drops out. He doesn't want to tell his teammates exactly what's happened. He's told his coach. His coach has said it's an appropriate reason to drop out, but he doesn't want to say it's just some kind of emergency. If you just think about it for 2 seconds, what is actually more likely? This player that has been a pro for years and years and years gets to Worlds for the first time. Is it actually that likely that he just decided to bin it off to go and stay with his girlfriend? Or is it more likely that actually there was really something that happened that is that horrible that he doesn't want to talk to his teammates about it? Because, teammates, you're not always best friends with them. It's a job, you're colleagues. We see here, I have to talk to Ethan every week and I put up with it. You know what I mean? So, so it's if you just think about it for 2 seconds,
and upset in that scenario, in the end.
Yeah, in the end he said it, and it was a fucking
upset
horrible
in that
thing.
scenario. In the end, he said it. He said that his wife got attacked because he was forced to, and even the fact that he was forced to admit what happened is not normal. You can keep your privacy, it's. So yeah, there's a lot of.
There was a thing in the Game Changers Championship that just finished as well, which was kind of a similar thing where people jump into the worst possible conclusion without just thinking for 2 seconds, where a player for G2's team but did a tweet they'd lost the game, and she did a tweet saying oh yeah, we played rubbish, I played really bad, we play against MIBR tomorrow, with an emoji of an orangutan, and I'd literally never seen this emoji, which the Brazilian community took as using a monkey emoji against Brazilian people, which there's no dark-skinned players on the Brazilian team, and as a European, I would obviously know people use monkey emojis in a racist way. That's not exactly unheard of. Apparently, for Brazilians, it's a thing for just Brazil as a whole to be used, to have that imagery used. So they took it as he's using a monkey for the Brazilian team to be racist.
Mm-hmm.
That was the immediate reaction from a lot of people. And then if you actually just sit and think about it for 2 seconds, it's okay, first of all, if this player was a secret racist that has never had any issues before, no inkling that she's got any racist tendencies, would she
Why
just
now
suddenly,
when she's exposed?
Suddenly now she decides to do a public tweet in the biggest tournament of her career, just randomly now she's talking it. That's the first thing that's obviously ridiculous. Also, the second thing, is it actually that likely? Is it more likely she is actually racist, or you might have used this emoji that had no idea that there was an issue? Someone from the Netherlands, would they necessarily know that people use this thing against Brazilian people specifically when it's a different culture that you may not know all the ins and outs of? And yeah, in the end it turned out, well, if we're believing her, she didn't use it obviously in a racist way. She just used any emoji. It wasn't also not to go too nitpicky into it. When you see coming from a football fan, when you see players sometimes repost, or you see players get horrible racist stuff in Instagram comments, the kind of emojis they use wasn't even one that she used. I'd never even seen the emojis she used, let alone in a racist context. And so all this to be said, she ended up getting loads of death threats and rape threats and stuff in her messages, because people took this thing, immediately took the absolute worst possible interpretation of it. She immediately took it down and said, no, I didn't mean this, still for the next 24 hours, until the opposite team, one of their players came out and kind of said look, guys, this has kind of gone too far now, because they kind of had the opposing team kind of joked on it and didn't really help very much either. But even when one of their players came out and said look guys, someone's made a mistake, they say they don't mean it, I think we can believe them, let's pack it in, she was getting comments from other Brazilian fans being no, this person's racist, you're being ridiculous, you don't let them off the hook. And it's can people just, when they see something online, just think for 2 seconds, what is actually the most likely reason that this thing has happened that you think is so outrageous? With the upset one, is it more likely he just binned off Worlds for the first time in his career to play ARAMs with his girlfriend because he wanted to, or was there maybe a serious emergency that did happen? And obviously it was the latter. So I think just people need to just take 5 seconds to use their brains sometimes and just not be so reactive. But I'm saying that to people that are on the internet. So
and
that's obviously not gonna happen.
also, as you lifted the subject, also like other players as well, when they have a situation that they don't, or like the other members of the ecosystem, when they have a situation
or
that
like
can
in
be
Upset's
touchy,
case, their own
that they know,
teammates.
yeah, exactly, that they know can be touchy, just don't react to it, or don't react publicly to it. Like, you can sort it out in private or stuff, but why would you ever like call out someone for something that you don't even know about publicly, or you just rally the community behind your back and say, look, you have the legitimacy.
Legitimate.
Yeah, you have the legitimacy to attack this player because I just did. So go as well,
I think the best way for anyone, especially pro players, to deal with this,
Keep quiet.
I mean, just learn to ignore the noise.
Yeah.
It's the best way to go about it. Like, if just let it kind of like fuel you to do better if you're gonna look at it, and if not, just ignore it completely and just focus on yourself, because toxicity especially will always exist in online fandom. So you just learn to ignore it, and I think that's the best way to go about it. And yeah, especially for Upset, he's had a lot of it come his way because of the whole Worlds thing. But yeah, no one really deserves bullshit like that, man.
It would be nice if it kind of him coming out with it. I don't know, like there's that much of a huge campaign you can do because again, it's the internet. Like people are going to be horrible, no matter what. But even if I don't know, like something on broadcast, if they could just have, even if it's in the breaks of games where they're just showing random shit, random people's tweets or something, just some kind of message. Don't harass players, don't abuse players, or like remember to be nice or something. I don't know. Just be nice if people try and do something to help a little bit. But yeah, that's the last thing on it. Where you're saying about.
I mean, I can see Riot like running campaigns.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
for promoting like healthier fandom.
Nice.
But then again, the people go to Reddit for League of Legends news. So like, what can they do really?
They can, right.
Maybe on broadcast, just an advertising that just like a bit like they do in Champions League with the no to racism.
Yeah, that's actually what I had in my head. Yeah. Where it's just
they could do kind of a campaign like that on the official broadcast to like stop the online hatred or some stuff.
I think it would be an interesting campaign, or like it would be interesting to see that coming out of like KeSPA, and like for I'm just talking exclusively in Korea here. KeSPA could be a good like platform for campaigns like that, or even just like LCK in general, man. Like I do remember for Overwatch League, there was like because during COVID, a lot of Asians were getting a lot of like hate crimes committed to them. I remember, I think it was one of the players on Dallas Fuel that I interviewed their GM at the time, and she said that their players were, because they were in Texas, there were a lot of like people that were like harassing them because of COVID, and like a lot of that was very racist, and it was a hate crime. And I do remember the Overwatch League making like a video saying that this is not okay. So maybe something like that could be could be a campaign, or like an approach that Riot or whoever can take.
And again, for players, just don't go on social media. Like
just
I saw
ignore.
After the interview, I forget exactly where I saw him say it. I think it might have been on a Thorin show that DonJake and our boss Sophie did the other day. And I think it was on there that he said like he'd asked Upset when they finished the interview or something, or before they did it, he said like, "Oh, if you don't mind, it'd be really helpful if you could like tweet out and promote the interview." And Upset said to him like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that. No worries. I'll just have to log into Twitter." So like he just is off everything. Like that's the way you've got to be really. I know it's like a bit of a balance because you want to have like a brand or whatever as well, but I think if you're a player that is prone
Exactly,
to
yeah.
get
You need to
shit,
find the
or
right balance.
or if
for
you're
that.
just even if your brand isn't great, but you're just prone to see horrible messages and get fucked up by it, which is easily which is natural. Just
What you can do is just when there's a crisis, you don't go to socials. You just shut down the socials, and you wait for the storm to go away. I feel like that's the only thing you can do because, as you said, Lee, I think especially in esports right now, it's very important for players to have their own brand growing. At least in the West, it's how I see it. Maybe in the East, it's a bit different because players' result matters like a lot. But yeah, I think like in the West, the best way you can like even anticipate for the future and when your career will be done and stuff is to kind of grow your socials a bit and have people following you for maybe your streams or maybe your funny stuff on socials or anything, like maybe some like Dokla did, for example, this Worlds, those kind of stuff are very, I think, appreciated by the community. But just stay away from the storm. That's it.
Yeah.
When there's a storm, when there's a crisis, just shut it down and let the time, do its trick.
That's a good point to end on, I think. Also because it's 9 p.m. and I'm hungry and I need to have some dinner. So we can leave it there. And it is our longest episode ever. Literally, we're doing this every week now. Every week we're just getting longer by like 5 minutes. So God knows where we'll end up. Depends how long they let us keep doing the show. We'll be doing it in 10 years, or we're going for 10 hours each time. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks, Quest, for your debut appearance. I'm sure we'll see you again.
Thank you.
And thanks, everybody.
Hope to be back.
For sure.
Hope you will.
And yeah, thanks, I guess, Ethan. Again, don't wear that next time, but yeah, I'll let you. I'll let you
just. You know what? I'll wash it like the day before, so I can be sure I can wear it on.
Oh, you know what you need to wash it. Wash your bloody Hotspawn mug. I'm the only one ever using mine. Get that in the wash.
You know what?
Where do I get one?
I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea, so that's why.
Yeah, and that's the only thing it can go in. That can go in there. You got a bottle of water? Just fill up the cup next to you off camera. Come on.
Okay. I will. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I don't know, Quest. We sorted ours when we went to Madrid for the LEC, but we can see what can happen.
Nice.
It's nice to know that someone's enthusiastic about it, though. Otherwise, Ethan and Davide I haven't seen theirs once yet. So
you know what's the problem? I wanted a Hotspot hoodie, but I couldn't because I don't know. We had to bring our OG or stuff like a blank OG or something.
Yeah. Just because we were in Madrid, so we just like used the company there that we could pick it up quickly for the LEC finals, and the one company that was the best one to use, they said, we can print a hoodie if you bring the hoodie yourself, which like wasn't really possible.
But you know what's the issue? The issue is then they gave me a t-shirt, but the problem is we're in fucking winter and I can't wear t-shirts in my home, like even with like it's not possible,
Listen,
maybe we'll see a t-shirt next year in summer.
my house doesn't have like a proper like central heating, or it has like it has like a generator in the basement, which I don't want to use because if it sounds like it's going to blow up. So we've got like electric heaters around the house. So now that it's the winter, when I get dressed in the morning, it's like I'm getting into like military gear. Like I have so many layers. I have like literally, just run through it quickly to end the episode on this ridiculous image: underwear, thermal socks, and then long johns. So like basically like long full length underwear. Then a second pair of socks over the top. Then this bit I can show, thermal t-shirt, and then just another long sleeve t-shirt on top of that.
You live in Alaska, bro.
Then a long sleeve t-shirt. Then I put like some kind of trousers, and then the jumper, and then if I wasn't on camera, I'd also have my dressing gown on over the top of this as well. It's crazy, and I'm in Spain where it's nice, but it's just our house is built to keep the warmth out during the summer, I think more, and we're not using the proper heating, so that's kind of our fault as well. So it's crazy, but I'm surviving, and I aim to keep surviving so we can come back next week, which we'll see you then.
Thanks God I have heating.
Yeah.